Welcome to the continued podcast adventures of three opinionated guys with mics and too much free time. Strong enough to stop a speeding movie rumor, more powerful than a bad comic book event, able to waste hours of time asking stupid questions to people who have better things to do. It's Dave, Ben, and John. It's Superhero Speak.
Hey everyone, you're listening to Superhero Speak, and I'm your host Dave.
And John. And you wouldn't be listening to us if we didn't have major technical problems on Monday.
Yes, so I was going to start off. Obviously, this episode's going out a little late. We're actually recording it on Wednesday night when we should have been out already. The recording we did Monday got messed up, and it was totally my fault. I'll take full responsibility for it. So John and I decided to circle the wagons, and we have a bunch of, great interviews from New York Comic Con, and we've got to get them out anyway. So we're gonna give you those two interviews. Unfortunately, JD was right. We did have a really great conversation on Monday. It's a shame it wasn't recorded.
At some point, we'll wrap back around to that.
But there is, before we get to the interviews, there is a little bit of news I want to talk about before it gets too stale. And the main thing was that we talked about in the last episode was reactions to, like, a bunch of new trailers came out, especially from New York Comic Con. So I wanted to, talk about them, and what we thought. So let's start with the New Mutants trailer. They're obviously taking the New Mutants in a much different direction than the other X-Men movies, and
less new, less mutants, and more Friday the 13th, I gotta say, or House on Haunted Hill, maybe
that, or
and the not the good one, the other one, the Luke Wilson one.
Yeah. There's a definitely overarching horror feel to it. I'm not sure how I feel about it. Like, it could be interesting. It's, taking it in a different direction instead of doing the same thing over and over again. Cause, as fans, sometimes we do complain about that. There's complaints about Marvel following the same formula in every movie over and over again. So Fox is saying, okay, well, let's go a different direction with this.
On the one hand, same formula over and over again, billions of dollars. On the other hand,
well, yeah,
it's Fox, and, when they try to do something different, they're not, their track record's kind of,
Well, hold on, but wait a minute. And this is kind of a point that we did talk about this in the original recording, and this is kind of a point that JD made a little bit, was look at Deadpool. That was a different direction with a superhero movie.
They were forced to do that. It didn't count.
Okay, and then Logan. It was an R-rated superhero movie.
And it doesn't count. I mean, seriously, I think they were literally forced to do those two.
Well, I don't know about Logan. I know Deadpool was like, they didn't have an option just because of the popularity of the leaked clips and everything. But yeah, like, so.
Well, and Ryan Reynolds.
So what I'm saying is, like, okay, they have had success taking these properties in slightly different directions than what Marvel's been doing. Their proven formula. Fox is like, well, wait, we didn't follow proven formula on these two movies, and they did really well. So now they're saying, like, let's do it again. Here's a group of characters that a lot of people don't really know who the New Mutants are unless they're diehard Marvel or X-Men fans. So, they were kind of, I always say they were kind of like Marvel's answer to the Teen Titans, except instead of taking existing characters and sidekicks and putting them together in a team, they made up, quote unquote, no mutants, but they were teenager heroes. And that's what we said in the original recording again. I'm not going to keep saying that, John, I promise. Was that they already did the teenage angsty stuff in the first couple of X-Men movies, because they were at the Xavier school and they were kids and, blah, blah, blah. So, they have to go in, again, they have to go in a different direction, right? Without saying, oh, you're just doing the same thing over and over again.
True. And I believe the New Mutants was originally more sci-fi fantasy comic booky than the rest of the X-Men titles at the time.
Right.
So, okay, sci-fi fantasy, but the trailer that we got is not in that direction. I mean, I'd expect to see more Doctor Who-y, timey-wimey type stuff than I did to see dark shadows, jump scares, and creepy music.
True. I'm kind of, I do wonder who maybe is in charge of the movie. I haven't looked that up yet. Like, is Chris Claremont or even, what's his name? The guy who did Deadpool. Rob Liefeld. Thank you.
Oh boy. Yeah.
Are they, are their voices being heard? Are they consulting anyone on these movies? Or are they just like, I don't know. See?
Well, the producers are Karen Rosenfeld and Simon Kinberg.
Okay.
And Lauren Schuler. But, if you ask me who any of those people are.
Right, they're not comic book people. They're producers. Yeah. So I say, okay, so I guess at this point, and it's kind of what we said the first time, is I said, anyway, I'm not going to pass judgment. I'm going to wait to see more stuff. I mean, again, since you're dealing with a property that isn't as popular as Spider-Man or Iron Man or Batman, we probably will see a few more trailers for it. So,
oh wait, never mind, cancel it. Don't want to see it. Nope, sorry, done.
All right.
Well, I'm doing real-time research here, and this guy, the director, is Josh Boone, who also directed The Fault in Our Stars.
I didn't see that.
Well, there's your teenage, angsty, really depressing ending type thing. And he's credited as a writer for the New Mutants. So it should be pretty sad.
Okay, hold on. But one of the producers is Lauren, Diane Donner.
Yeah.
That's Richard Donner's wife, who founded the Donner Company.
Yeah. So what you're saying is that halfway through they're going to kick her out and bring in somebody who wants to do comedy.
No.
And then we'll get a New Mutant super Donner cut, and it'll be the most awesome thing we've ever seen.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. We'll just leave it at that.
Excellent.
All right. And the another trailer that came out that we talked about a little bit was the last Justice League trailer. They're calling it the Heroes trailer because it's quote unquote focusing on each hero a little bit. What did you think? Did it make you any more excited or less excited to see Justice League?
I'm still on the fence about it. I'm going to have to see how it plays out. I mean, in all honesty, it's just, I still have such a bad taste in my mouth from Batman v Superman.
Yeah.
I just, if the same writer director for Wonder Woman was in charge of that the whole time, then I would have been excited. But no, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I guess my only, issue, and look, I understand they can't do the Aquaman from the Super Friends. Nobody wants the Aquaman from the Super Friends.
Yeah.
And of course, you do kind of want the badass Aquaman, but it kind of feels like him and the Flash are going to be the comic relief in the movie, and I don't know. I mean,
well,
I don't know if that's going to work.
Flash is just, I mean, the Flash has historically been the comic relief.
Right.
He's been, and even in a lot of the comics and the animated series, he's been played up as basically the glue that holds everybody else together.
Right. No.
But,
I'm not disagreeing with the Flash's role. It's Aquaman, because now we're bringing him into the movie universe, and you want people to take the character seriously.
Yeah, and they've made him a dude, bro.
Yes.
I mean, I half expect for him to go up to one of the parademons and then crush a beer can on its head. That's
exactly.
I just, I don't want to see, I don't want to see Darkseid defeated by a very harsh hazing.
Oh my God.
I mean, we'll see. I mean, he looks good in it, and it's kind of fun. Some of the scenes that we've seen with him in it, but I don't know how it's going to fit together, I am the chief DC apologist, and, there's a reason for that. So until I see it, I'm going to sit on the fence.
Yeah, I mean, and let's be honest, like, no one thought it was going to be good, right? And then there has been some more buzz, especially with the last couple trailers that came out. It seems like they're a little bit lighter tone, it's a little more fun, which is kind of what people want out of especially like a team movie. But again, is it going to be too much? We don't know. So I guess, at this point, we'll just stay cautiously optimistic, and we'll tear it apart once we watch it.
Yeah.
And now the trailer that made me not really feel anything. And that's the Black Panther trailer. So.
Okay. I mean, sure.
So what I mean by that is, I felt like when they had the final shot in the first trailer, him flipping and landing and, standing there, like, okay, that's cool. I dig that. I can't wait to see the movie. And then this trailer came out, and it just felt like, I don't know, like, to me, the music didn't fit.
They were trying to street it up a lot.
Yeah, that's what it felt like, and I don't know why they're doing that,
Yeah, I mean, when I forget, there was one scene where T'Challa walked up to somebody and they did the secret Harlem handshake or whatever. I'm like, dude, this is a secret African country. It's not downtown Harlem. It's not the streets of Chicago. Right. They don't have to give their gang signs every time they get together. It's but that's just me, and I am the naysayer here.
Right. And so they have the long scene in this trailer with the car chase, and then he uses his claws to take the tire off the car and stop him, and he runs up the wall, and like all this crazy stuff happening, and it was just like, yeah, that looks cool, but what's the hook here? Besides that it's Black Panther, like, what are you giving me? There's nothing, you're not giving me anything storyline wise, and you can make some guesses based on the quick scenes you see here and there. Like I said already, that we lost.
Mm-hmm.
I know, I'm doing it again. It does feel like maybe there's some kind of family drama happening where, he comes back after helping out in the Civil War, and, maybe there's someone in his family that thinks they should be the king, but it was given to him, and there might be some kind of struggle with that. Like,
it's
okay.
It's Black Bolt's brother. It's
yes, I know.
Yeah, if he can't have the Inhumans, he's going to have Wakanda.
So yeah, like that might make it more compelling for me to go see the movie if you reveal a little bit of that kind of stuff in their trailers. Stop just showing me him running around and the cool CG shots of the city and the ships flying around. Like, start showing me, you know, what is the gravitas in this movie? Is there gravitas in this movie? You know? So, again, it's the second trailer. We've got a little while before it comes out. So I'm sure we'll see more. But, yeah. And of course, we'll go see it and we'll tell you what we think. Because that's what we like to do here, right?
Yep. Now, whether you like it or not.
Exactly.
Of course, if you don't like it, you're not listening. So please listen. Please.
Finally, we had The Last Jedi final trailer before the movie comes out in December.
It was really surprising that Jar Jar Binks is going to be in this. I didn't think that he'd survived up until this point.
No. Bad John. So I will say that it got me excited. I really enjoyed the trailer. I'm a big Luke Skywalker fan. He's always been my favorite character. And he's definitely very prominent in this movie, or at least in the trailer, which leads you to believe he's going to be very prominent in the movie. And I'm definitely looking forward to it. You know, I know all the Han fans don't have that to look forward to. What do you think of it, besides your Jar Jar Binks joke?
I can't wait to see what this means about ending the Jedi, because you know they've been harping for so long with the extended universe and you know all the books and everything about the balance, and then they went through the prequels and they're talking about bringing the Jedi that will bring the balance back, and now we've got them saying it's time. You know, we've got Luke Skywalker himself sitting there saying it's time for the Jedi to end.
Right.
Okay, so are they finally going to bring this balance thing in where, you know, this whole thing about light and dark has been just one big conspiracy since the beginning, and you know, you can have good Jedi running around using Force lightning and make them really awesome? I really can't. I cannot wait to see this.
So,
you know? especially since Carrie Fisher is in this.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that was a definite emotional thing because you don't think about it because, you know, it's been a year almost since she passed away. You know? So you don't think about it. Yeah. Cause, it was right before Rogue One came out and they had her, CGI young version in Rogue One.
They'd done the CGI version before, and she died. She died December 27th.
So okay.
They'd done the CGI before that because she was too old to.
No. I'm not saying that, but I'm like I remember watching the film thinking, oh, she's gone. So yeah, so it's getting close to a year. So you see her as her, you know, because she did finish filming all her scenes before she passed away. And they're not telling us what's going to happen because, you know, she was supposed to be a prominent character in episode 9. Obviously that can't happen now. So how do they, it's going to leave questions in my head, even after I watch the movie, you know, if they kill her off in the movie, which everyone seems to think that's what they're going to do. What was the original story? And then how does that affect 9? You know?
Well, she could be in 9. They'd have to call it the Uncanny Star Wars. Then maybe we can get that mutant crossover we've always wanted.
Oh, you're just wrong. But I'm going to give you a quick lesson here, okay? So you've got the dark side, your Sith, you've got the light side, your Jedi, and then
you've got your what is it, the the Jar Jar side, which is basically tripping over things and making things happen.
You have your gray Jedi, which are supposed to be a balance between the two. They walk the line between the light side and the dark side.
I don't remember seeing that. Was that in the extended universe? Because
yeah, that's in some of the extended universe stuff, and and some of that stuff was in some of the novels that they said are no longer canon. Obviously, who knows what they're going to do with it now, but that's kind of what I think they're hinting at. That's my guess, is that there'll be the gray, but they won't call them the Jedi anymore. Just
so
like
you got the Goths, the Goths, the Preppies, and what are the Greys? The Gandalfs call them?
something like that. I'm glad you went that way.
I had to, but yeah, it's well, they are basically space wizards. It would be interesting. Again, you're right. It would be really interesting to see them finally figure out that, because the original Star Wars was written at a time when, okay, the bad guys, it was written as a space western, and
right.
The bad guys wear the black hats, the good guys wear the white hats, and, you couldn't possibly be more nuanced than either that paladin that keeps screwing up your Dungeons and Dragons campaign because you can't torture any information out of anybody, or the guy who keeps killing the people before you can torture the information out of them.
Hey, you know what? I usually was the paladin, so be careful.
That figures.
Yeah, well, you were probably the assassin that was killing everyone.
No, I was Gandalf. I was the one that just fried everybody who pissed me off. But yeah, it'll be very interesting to see how they deal with this, and I am looking forward to this movie.
Yes.
This is not like the New Mutants or whatever, where it's like, I'll go see it, but this is like I'm going to buy my ticket 2 days in advance, go see it.
Right. Oh, well, that was something else we mentioned in the last episode. I'll mention it again. The last episode, the lost recording. That's what we're going to call it. Because the ticket sales went on, the tickets went on sale as soon as the trailer landed, and they were estimating that they've already pre-sold $1 billion worth of tickets worldwide.
That simultaneously does not surprise me, and also that's awesome. I mean,
yeah, I don't know how true it is. This was like an early article I read, and again, it was an estimate. I don't know what the actual numbers are at this point, but, yeah, no, you're right. It doesn't surprise. I mean, the first one, the Force Awakens made nearly $2 billion in the theater. So yeah, it makes sense.
If you go on Fandango, they are pre-selling them, and you can get a free special poster with ticket purchase. Limited time, subject to availability, terms apply, and you give up your right to a lawyer and must go through arbitration. And there's a lot of fine print here. Just
must name your firstborn Luke. Wait, what?
Something about becoming an acolyte of the Sith. I don't know. It's just there's just a lot of fine print.
Just agree to it.
But it's a free poster. Yes.
Look, it's an internet a service agreement. Do what everyone does. Scroll through it and hit I agree. Come on, no one reads them. All right. So now that we got our trailer reactions out of the way, we can start with we can talk about our 2 interviews we have for this week. And, first up, I say we got a female and a male. So of course, ladies first, right? And first up we have April Adams. So John, you talked to her. What was her spiel? She's a writer, correct?
I think so. No, yes, she is. Yeah. Her name's April Adams. She lives in San Diego, and she likes fantasy football and writing. She's been writing for, I think it was 7 years, or maybe 9. She's got a few books out. that she had on display at New York Comic Con is like the Moons of Jupiter, Moons of Jupiter 2, Rings of Saturn. Drawing the Dragon is the one that caught my eye, and she's just a science fiction fantasy writer, and it was really nice sitting down and talking to her. There's not much more I can say as an intro. So now we can just listen to the interview.
Here we go.
John O'Grady, Superhero Speak, and I am sitting here with the author of The Rings of Saturn and The Moons of Jupiter and Drawing the Dragon.
There you go.
And your name is?
April Adams.
April Adams. Pleasure to meet you, April.
Nice to meet you.
And you have been an author for how long now?
7 years.
Okay, that's long. Do you come to the New York Comic Con to sell your stuff? Were you here last year? I don't
Yes,
remember.
this is our 5th year at New York Comic Con, I believe.
Oh, wow. So you've seen it kind of grow a little bit.
Oh, yeah, it's been awesome.
Your books, the genre and the general storyline, what did you write?
It's a science fiction fantasy blend where you have elves and humans fighting a race of artificial intelligence, and the dragons are their living starships.
Where'd you get the idea from?
I just grew up with a lot of science fiction and fantasy, everything from Star Wars to Lord of the Rings, and kind of wanted to see it all put together in one series.
Right. So you've always been into this side of the geekdom.
Oh yeah, my favorite side of the geekdom for sure.
Where'd you draw inspiration from, or what were your favorite books? And
let's see, favorite books growing up: the Lord of the Rings series. I love the Shannara series by Terry Brooks. Although I'm also a really big Stephen King fan, and I like just about everything I can get my hands on.
Oh, cool. So do you draw your writing style from those books, or? Everybody has their own once you've written a book or two, I'm sure, you know.
Yeah, I think you glean your favorite things from every author.
Yeah.
And try and emulate that as best you can.
What was the hardest part about doing it?
The hardest part is usually for me coming up with names.
Yeah, well.
I know it sounds really simple, but even going through baby books, I can never decide. I usually text one of my kids and say, who's sitting next to you in French class right now? And guess what? They just made the book.
We've interviewed other authors like Maxina Storybook, who's got 2 books out now, and a lot of authors like her, they actually have a dictionary in the back
Oh yeah,
for names and language. Did you come up with a language for this too, or
no?
So easy reading then, kind of.
Pretty much. If you're an avid sci-fi reader, it's pretty par for the course, I'd say. If you're not, I know a lot of people have a hard time getting started with it. But I have a lot of people who have never read science fiction before, read these books and love them.
Did you take, did you take classes for this? Is this what you were doing for a living?
I majored in English in college, so I did do a lot of reading and writing. I wasn't really sure that this was what I would do, but I know I love it.
Okay. And how was it? How did you get it first started? How did you publish it? Did you do it yourself, or did you find
Yes. Well, we had a small publisher in our hometown of San Diego who actually does more technical publishing, but took a chance on me, and glad they did.
And now you're sitting in New York Comic Con, 2017. I think that's contractually obligated to say that, and. You've got 3 books now? 3?
5.
So 5. Oh, 5 books.
5, and number 6 will be done next year. There will be 8 in the series when I'm done.
Wow. Is it? What point of view is it from? Is it third person? Omniscient?
Most of them are third person, although 2 of them are written in first person.
Okay.
The 2 prequels are written in first person.
How do you find that? Is it easier to write one or the other? Or?
Yeah, third person is easier.
Really?
It flows a lot easier for me than first person.
Okay. How the Comic-Con, right? Mm-hmm. So how are you finding things working out for you here? Is it?
Oh, they're great. Usually, we sell out New York every year. We sell out at DragonCon in Atlanta every year.
Oh, wow.
Phoenix, we do every year. We usually sell out Phoenix Comic-Con. we try to do like a new one every year. We've tried Hawaii and Vegas and Chicago. Next year, we're going to do Emerald City, which is the Seattle Comic Con.
Oh, nice.
In addition to our usual ones.
And we've had other authors that have been around cons for a long time. So, from what I've heard, you develop a following. Sometimes you get people coming back.
Oh yeah, people come back every year for the new book
to tell you where's the next one. Is that?
Yeah, or say where's the next one. But I usually have a new one every year, so
that's still not enough.
Easy. I know. A lot of people come back and say, "What happens?" It's like I can't tell you. Gotta get all the books for that.
Oh yeah, you got to pace yourself, really.
Yeah.
But do you like? I mean, once you start getting into writing, like the first book, say, did you find it easy to continue on, or did it become a job? And after the first one was done, was it easier then? Or?
Yes, after the first one was definitely the most difficult. Putting everything together, building the characters. But once I did, it flowed really well. The characters, because I feel like I know them so well, I know everything they're going to say. All their dialogue comes out smooth. Everything is so much easier. A lot of the characters write themselves.
Is this going to be a limited series, or is this like an open-ended one now?
It could be open-ended. There's a lot of room for spin-offs.
So you didn't. Oh, okay.
So
leave it open.
I'm planning on 8, but you never know. I got to do something after I'm done. Just can't hang out and do nothing.
This is something like I've had other people ask me about for authors. Is it like does it pay well, full-time job level, or is it, because there are a lot of truly starving artists here.
Yes.
Like I go to interview them and like the cost is a bag of chips. It's just,
Yeah. It pays pretty well. Yeah, it depends, I guess, how many books you sell in a year. Some years are better than others. Also depends on online sales, like for Kindle and iBook. Let's see. We are looking into Audible this year. That's our goal, is to get all the books on Audible, because I had another author tell me that it will double your income. There's so many people on Audible right now.
Oh, wow. Is that like through Amazon or just?
No, Audible's its own company.
Yeah,
Oh.
But it's when you're selling them through Amazon.
Yes.
And I know that with like the Amazon Kindle, if you have the book, you can hit a button and automatically get the audio version too. I think it might be through Audible.
Okay, I'm not sure about that. I don't know if they do that, or if it's on Audible. They just offer them both for the same price.
Do you have like, once you start writing, do you have like other ideas now?
Yes.
Is the reason why you're keeping it open? Same world?
Well, it just, one idea breeds the next. So there's just limitless possibilities when you start thinking about where other people can go, loose ends that I didn't tie up. Do I leave them loose? Do I tie them up? Do I leave it open for something later? Sometimes it's good not knowing.
That's good. What do you like? Again, you're at Comic-Con 2017. Have you been around the floor? Have you seen anything that's interesting to you?
Today I haven't. I came straight to the booth for the signing, but I usually walk the floor at least one day just to see what everybody's selling. I have other author friends. I'll visit their booth and see what they've done this year. Do some catching up. Do you like the anime side or the comic books or the artists? I mean, is there anything you look for specifically? Nothing I look for specifically. I like to just see where everything takes me. Well, and here, like on a Saturday, it's basically the flow of people will take you somewhere because you can't move. Tide. Yeah, just go with the current. Thanks. All right, so you have 5 books now. The 6th book will be coming out when? Next year at DragonCon. So that's usually Labor Day weekend. Oh, very good. And it takes you about a year? It takes me about a year. It takes me about 6 or 7 months to do the writing, and then a few months later for editing and the cover, publishing, whatever they do to get it all ready for print. And if you're an English major, so do you need an editor, or is editing your own the worst? You know what? Everybody needs an editor. I do try to edit it as much as I can before I pass it on, but it is still just full of typos, mistakes, things you don't catch, repeated words, or what's really worse is when you have like a gap in the storyline that needs to be filled, or things that are off time-wise.
Oh, yeah.
And my editor usually catches those. Yeah.
Yeah, science fiction writers, continuity. You don't want to piss them off with that. Because they'll keep track. They'll have better timelines than you have, you know?
Yeah.
All right. I mean, is there anything else you... where can they find your work besides, I guess, Amazon?
Barnes & Noble. Amazon.
Do you have a Facebook, Twitter?
Oh, yeah, Facebook. Well, you just go to my website. It's apriladams.me. And that has links to all of my social media. It has links to where you can buy the books on Amazon or Barnes & Noble.
You're on Goodreads, too?
Yes.
Okay. Very good.
All right.
Well, barring that, the way we like to sign off on these, usually, is by asking you a question to embarrass you. I mean, it's only a reason to... How do you measure success?
When people come back for the next one. If I sold 10 books a year, but it was all the people who came... I have to have the next one. That's success to me.
Excellent.
Someone's enjoying it, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it must be. You're up to book. You're out working on book 6, so yeah, that means that's good things. All right. Thank you very much for sitting down with me.
My pleasure.
And I wish you good luck for the rest of the convention.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
John, you're so cute on your interviews.
Very nice lady. The premise of the book sounds pretty damn good. You can find her on Goodreads, and she's selling through Amazon. And I go pick up Drawing Down the Dragon, just start in on these.
Right. Yeah, her books are available, it looks like, through Amazon and Barnes & Noble, so wherever fine books are sold. How's that?
Yeah, Barnes & Mortar, go Amazon, be digital.
So,
I mean, I love Barnes & Noble.
Yes.
Please still let me in the stores.
Before we get to our second interview and the last piece of this week, I want to remind all of our listeners, first off, thank you for listening, but I also want to remind you to don't forget to check out superheroespeak.com. We have recently updated the website. We now have things broken out into different sections. Of course, the latest episode of the podcasts are always at the top of the page, but we have a rants section where we write opinion pieces about different things. We have, of course, our interviews section where it's not only podcast interviews. We do have written interviews with different artists and writers on occasion. Plus, we have the galleries available on our website. We have 2 galleries that were just put up from New York Comic Con, and we have 2 more that'll be coming very shortly. And a lot of great cosplay pictures in there. Oh, wait.
Now.
Plus,
I know I put some really nice looking guys in there. Just take it easy.
I love those beefcake shots. Plus, you can see all the great places. You can subscribe to the podcast, and we have more features that will be coming. Oh, geez, and I completely forgot. Our own Matt Vroom, of course, does comic book reviews. He does at least 1 to 2 a week. I've started to write a couple of reviews that will be going up soon as well. So, I think there's like at least 20 comic book reviews on the website now.
Yeah. And just to add to the thank you for listening, if you are listening, could you let the guy torturing you know that we really appreciate being picked as the pain du jour he's using to break your will?
And if he's not torturing you, and you're listening if you're on free will, if you're listening
That's like that happen.
If you're listening through iTunes, please subscribe to the podcast and give us a review and with a 5-star rating. It really helps the podcast out and our visibility on iTunes. If you're listening through Stitcher, you can, add us to your favorites there and listen to us, every week when we come out. So, now that we got the business out of the way, Your other interview, this is one that I found interesting. Zachary Mortensen?
Yes. And
he's a producer in, he has a company called Ghost Robot.
Yep. And they're putting out a comic book called Gatecrashers. I have book 1 in my hand right here. I love how, I'm trying to show it to you. You're listening. It's part of the torture. When they start telling you to, tell them how many lights that you see. Remember, it's 5, even if it's 3. So yeah, the writer is Zachary Mortensen, and the artist is solely known as Sutu. And apparently this artist is freaking amazing. So much so that they I don't think they're going to get them for very long, because they're quickly going to be picked up by larger projects. Although you would hope Gatecrashers continues to be. Now, Gatecrashers is a comic book about, as they described it to me, some medics in a futuristic time when society is basically broken up into a lot of small fiefdoms or whatever, and the only people that are allowed from one place to another are the medics, because, well, you kind of need them. And it's got a really, and we discussed this in the interview, it's got a kind of a Snow Crash feel to it, because if you've read Snow Crash, it had the same kind of societal breakdown and setup, where societies were just a bunch of walled-in communities, and they were each much different from each other. But the writing is great. The art is amazing, and it's very distinct too. It's a lot of pastel colors, a lot of color, and not outlined. You'd have to see it for yourself. I wish I had the vocabulary to describe it. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. As you were blathering on, I was looking through some of his credits, and he worked on Choking Man, which is a psychological drama that I've never actually seen, but it starred Mandy Patinkin. So anyone that worked with Mandy Patinkin is I'm a fan of. So
yeah. This was not a small undertaking. So with that intro, here's the interview.
John O'Grady, Superhero Speak, and I am at the booth for the Gatecrashers comic book, along with the author,
Zachary Mortensen.
Zachary Mortensen. So, thank you for taking some time for this. So I'm looking at, I got dragged over here by one of your associates, and shown this comic book, The Gatecrashers, which it's got an incredibly colorful cover here, along with very interesting artwork on the inside. A lot of pinks, purples, kind of dark. What could you explain anything about the comic here?
Sure. Well, the comic is a near future sci-fi story about ambulance teams in an American megacity. And imagine if New York City had an event like Occupy Wall Street in 20 or 30 years, and totally corrupt and bankrupt City Hall says, if you can do a better job running this city, do it yourself. And they sort of cordon off different neighborhoods, which become quite literally autonomous city-states. And in those power vacuums, sort of dictators rise. But the reality is not every neighborhood has hospitals and emergency services, so they continue to keep lanes and gates open to emergency teams, and they get nicknamed the Gatecrashers. And they have sort of a free run of the city and are almost like nomads with no allegiance to any home, but are traveling all around.
Okay, and this is where did this idea come from? How long have you been doing this?
Well, I've been developing the story for a number of years. I've been producing it and publishing it independently, so it's going at the speed of me, and that is sometimes a little bit longer between books and issues than I'd like. But we've got book 1 and 2 are out, which is bringing us up in a regular comic issues up through about issue number 7. Issues 8, 9, and 10 are in the works, and I'm going to bundle those hopefully in the next 3 or 4 months. But the idea came from, I was sort of thinking about, healthcare, ambulances, New York City, and I was like, what would it take to get to a place where New York City really resembled more of a third world country, where those that have the most can walk into a hospital, those that don't have a really hard time getting anywhere and getting anything. And I was like, well, it would take, those that have it quite literally closing the door on those that don't and saying fend for yourself. And then you'd see that infrastructure sort of crumble and buckle under the weight of that reality. So that's where it really came from. And then I started to build out the characters and where it's going to go.
I'd ask you where you got the idea to, think about healthcare, but
believe it or not, the seed of the idea predates the current Obamacare world and otherwise, but it's only become more relevant in recent months and years. So for sure.
Were you part of part of geek culture when you came up with this idea?
I
Is
mean,
this like something you came up with?
I've been a huge sci-fi fan my whole life, and I'm a child of the Star Wars generation, and so from Star Wars to Raiders of the Lost Ark, on up, and a dusty version of VHS of Blade Runner has always been on the shelf. So there's a lot of love for that part of the genre. I'm a massive William Gibson fan, and I'd say Neuromancer's the Bible, and so there's a lot of that. This really lives in a very cyberpunk type ethos. I would say this is not a dystopian world. This is a real world that we all inhabit, and I like to even think of it like it's a world of hope. Like, this is about people who are working every day, going home at night, getting up and doing it again.
Yeah, actually, you mentioned William Gibson. I think, I don't know if it was him, I forget. There was a book about city-states and everything cordoned off called Crash something. I forget.
Oh, is that Snow Crash?
Snow Crash,
I think
that's it.
Yes,
Yeah.
Different. Not William Gibson, but same era, same world. Yeah, for sure.
It's been a while.
Which I understand they're making a TV show out of right now.
Snow,
I just saw that.
I
feel like somebody tweeted it or something, but I'm going to have to do a little more research.
It would be it'd be interesting to make a serial out of that.
Yeah.
Considering some of the themes that were in that one, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Wow. So,
but you were asking about the colors. I'm working with an amazing artist named Sutu, and one of the things that helped me kick this off and go from like just being in my head and to getting it on the page was I came across this incredible interactive webcomic called The Nawls, NAWLZ, and the artist, his name is Sutu. He's based in Australia, and it was the most like elegant implementation of a webcomic that I've ever seen, and it was just awesome, like very cool cyberpunk style artwork. And so I called him up and we chatted a bit and talked for a while, and we finally got to a place where we could get our schedules to match and work together. And I said, he's like, I got some ideas for some crazy color palettes, and I was like, let's take it to the edge, see where we can go. And quite literally, the cover is like, he's like, when I was thinking of the cover, he's like, I want that thing to feel like the lights on an ambulance flashing in your face from across the street, and I think he's accomplished it pretty well.
Call me crazy, I get hints of like Aeon Flux.
Oh yeah, for sure. I love the artwork in Aeon Flux, and this the style of the art in this book is very like Mobius inspired as well, and there's it lives a lot in that world. And I'm a big anime fan. I think Sutu would try to curtail my anime tendencies, so he didn't always go there, but I would be like, I need more speed lines, and he'd be like, I'll put some speed lines in the next panel.
and the artist's name is just Sutu, SUTU.
Correct.
How'd you find?
Through his website and his web series, and I started harassing him, and that's I don't know. We'll give you his info. You got to check him out because he's doing incredible work in 3D these days. He's doing a lot of tilt brush stuff and doing a lot of like. We also have a book over here that he created called Modern Palaxis, which is an augmented reality comic, which is pretty awesome.
Okay.
And he's developed an app and a collection of apps and technology to do. To put augmented reality layers on top of artwork, and he's got a handful of different projects working in that are pretty spectacular. So you should,
That's also an interesting concept I'm going to have to follow up on. We've heard from a lot of creators horror stories, either artists having trouble finding writers or writers finding an artist and then never getting the work done. And then dealing with the publishing and all that. Do you have any horror stories?
Well, I wished I had book 3 here on the table with us today. I started chatting with an artist in November last year, and I was definitely on track. But, everybody's schedules are challenging. And people commit, overcommit, undercommit, whatever happens. So, Sutu is fully supportive, but he's working on his new things and his other things. We spent almost 2 years working together on various iterations of this. So I am looking for other artists. And in the last year, I've sort of had 3 of them start and stop and drop out, and it's very frustrating. It's really frustrating. So that's kind of why the next book isn't on the table. But I'm looking forward at this Comic-Con to going down to Artist Alley and trying to find some new opportunities and some other artists. And also, I'm pretty psyched. In the last year, we've also been making headway on getting a TV deal together for this series, and so we're hopefully we'll be able to announce some stuff in the coming weeks or months about a new home for this with a TV studio.
Kind of like a future dystopian Emergency.
It could,
if you remember that old TV show, because I'm old and I remember.
Yeah, I'm hoping it. A big fan of Denis Villeneuve, who's doing the new Blade Runner, and also Neil Blomkamp, and so I'm hoping that it can live in some of the worlds that those guys have envisioned lately and put on the screen.
So what do you think of the Comic-Con this year?
So far so good. I was here yesterday, and it's early this morning. I feel like they did a bit better job of crowd control this year, which is a good thing. And so I got a chance to go out and walk around a little bit, and like I said, I'm hoping to get out and walk around Artist Alley a little bit more. Probably tomorrow, because I'll be working the booth a bit today.
Tomorrow you're going to have to cordon off a lot of time because it's Saturday.
It's going to get crowded.
Yeah. Based on yesterday.
Maybe I'll try this afternoon. We'll see.
What are your favorite, you said you're into the sci-fi genres. What are your favorite authors, titles?
Oh, man, that's a tough question. I've been reading... Oh man, I gotta pull it up. There's two books that I've been reading. Archangel, which is William Gibson's one, which has been coming out, and I'm totally blanking on the other one.
I asked you directly.
I know. I'm not recommending it. I'm trying to think of what it is, but it's on my iPad and on my Kindle. But I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna find it and email it to you, and you can put it in the liner notes.
I'll do that.
But yeah, I don't have enough time to consume. Not sadly, but sadly, I think all that I'm getting most of is a lot of Rick and Morty.
You mean like the 5,000 Rick and Mortys that have been hanging around here?
Exactly. I think somebody in my booth yesterday mentioned that this feels like the alternate Rick universe because there's so many Rick and Mortys running around here.
I know, right? And it's usually it's Deadpools are the ones.
Yeah, exactly.
Or Harleys. But now... Yeah. I swear I saw a Rick Harley and a Morty Deadpool yesterday.
Yep, exactly. It's happening for real. But no, I love New York Comic Con. This is our 5th year being here at the booth, and so pretty psyched about it.
Missed you last year. Glad to caught you this year. Yeah. You've even got nice hats on your table.
Yeah, we published the book through my production company, which is called Ghost Robot, and we do films and commercials and documentaries and branded content, and we also have a storefront in Brooklyn, and so we do a lot of mostly just limited run merch and stuff like that. But the Ghost Robot beanie has been a popular item in recent years, and this is the latest and greatest iteration. Here is the red cactus beanie.
Oh, very good. So where can we find all your stuff online?
The best place to go is thegatecrashers.com.
Okay. And any other media or Patreons or that kind of thing?
No, it's all there. You can buy the book digitally there. It's also on Amazon, and it's also on Comixology, and I think it's up on those just as individual issues. But I'll probably be putting up the collected books in the coming weeks.
Very good. If you get a TV deal, can we get an exclusive?
Of course. Call me back.
Awesome.
Always love to treat the fans and the supporters right, and it's been we've had great response out of the last couple of years at Comic-Con, so it's been great.
Yeah. Well, they put you in a good place too, so you got a corner booth here. That's all the questions. We do like to finish these interviews, especially with people we haven't talked to before, with a question that again I'm going to make your mind blank. How do you measure success?
It's a great question. I would say. I focused on, when I started this project, my focus was on getting my story out onto the page. And even when I'm here at Comic-Con, my goal is not how many books can I move. It's letting people know about it and hopefully finding fans. And even if there are few fans and they're good fans, they're great. And I recognize a lot of people that come back to the booth and have been. And this year I'm saying, hey, just sign up on this list because I thought I'd have a new book and I don't. So sign up and I'm just going to send you one for free when it comes. I'll shoot you a digital copy because I've got great fans and they've been hugely supportive. And to me, that's the success I'm looking for.
Excellent. All right. Well, thank you very much for taking the time to talk to us. Can't wait to see the next comic come out and maybe see you at future Comic Cons.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks for stopping by.
No problem.
So yeah, they're a bunch of fun guys.
I laughed,
And
cried. It was better than Cats. Oh, sorry.
Hey, nothing is better than Cats. Jeez, he's put anything above McCavity, I swear. Magical Mr. Mistopheles. I'm speaking as somebody who actually was on stage singing all that stuff and then had face paint on and went out amongst the crowd.
For the fun of it, right?
Yeah, sure. Uh-huh. Anyway, that's the 2 interviews that we've got. Please, pick up Gatecrashers. We're going to post all the information about where you can find them, in the description on the site next to where you're listening to this, hopefully. And if not, if you're listening to this somewhere else, then go to our site, to the interview, and pick up all of the links for where you need to go. This is really one of the better comics that I've seen, one of the better independents, and you really should pick it up because I'm halfway through this copy that I've got here, book 1, and it is very interesting. And I don't mean interesting in a I'm interesting is I can't wait to read to the end.
Right. Cool. I will check it out as well. So yeah, I think that wraps it up for this week. Again, we apologize for being late. We apologize to our good friend and co-host JD for me messing up the recording and you guys missing an awesome conversation.
You're supposed to blame it on him because he's not here to defend himself.
Yeah, it was all JD's fault, I mean,
there you go.
He was recording remotely on a cell phone and bad quality, and it just messed everything up. That's it.
It infected our computers.
There you go. So on that note, boys and girls, as always, thank you for listening, and don't let your cape get caught in the door. Have a good week.